Hi, this is Jenny Rae from Management Consulted, and I'm here today to walk through an edit for Jacob Adams. Jacob comes to us from Australia, and he's got a pretty extensive resume, 4 pages long currently, with a whole bunch of information that should be helpful in helping us craft something that's amazing for him. He's got good work experience and a really rich background, but he's used a lot of words and a lot of pages to get there. So our goal is going to be to get it down to 2 pages, which is the maximum for international applications for consulting. So let's get started. The first thing that I notice is at the beginning here, we've got some different font sizes that we're working with. So I'm just going to make those uniform. Looks like size 11 is too big, size 10 is what we're going to be working with everywhere else. So that's a good start. We've got two different addresses at the beginning here, probably not necessary. We've got kind of a funky formatting thing going on here, so we're just going to go ahead and take that off. It also looks like when you look at the margins that his header and his footer are at a little bit of an odd place. And then also on the sides of the document, if you look at the layout, you've got 0.59 and 0.89 margins, which is kind of weird. But we've got a lot going on in Jacob's resume already, so the first thing I'm going to do is look at the structure, and then we're going to come back in the format at the end. We've got management consultant, which seems like a summary at the beginning. We've got his actual career summary, which is a list of everything he's done. We've got his detailed career history, which usually it seems like his career summary is giving an excuse for going into either too much or too little detail. And I notice right away here we've got family business at the beginning, which is probably something that we wouldn't necessarily want to highlight. We've got energy industry experience, Baker Tilly. We have various consulting projects from 2005 to present. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we've got the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority from 2002 to 2005 and SFR Advisory Group. In addition, he was a lecturer, but that looks like it was while he was actually in school. He has some leadership roles and activities, technology and training, and education. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pull his education up to the top. If we're aiming for a 2-page resume, we're going to want to have it on the first page because he's going to have a lot of experience that will cover the other 2 pages. We're also going to take his career summary. We may refer back to it, but we don't want to have both a career summary and all the details. We want somebody to actually read through the whole thing. So we're going to go ahead and put that right here at the end under a removed section. In addition, we're going to go back up to the top, and we notice this family business, which seems like a highly personalized section, leveraging financial planning experience, conducted due diligence to make investment decisions. Looks like he's just trading his own portfolio. Because he has other experience that's more externally focused, we're going to take that out, and we're going to move that down to the end as well. Okay, great. So we're almost at 3 pages and we haven't even really gotten going yet. So this is good news. Fantastic. So going back up to the top, let's just get started right at the very beginning. Now we've got these pretty cool looking headers, so I'm happy to use those as our header style, but I do want the header to actually go all the way to the right hand side. I don't just want it to look like a miscued underline. So we're going to rename this section up at the front the summary. You could also call it an overview. Now he has international experience. We want to know who he is, not what kind of experience he's got. So international manager with blue chip companies, develop transferable skills in line management and project management. We don't need management to us, and in line and project management across a range of industries. So we'll put X and Y industries. We definitely want to know specifically which ones they are. We saw energy already down there, so having that up there might be really interesting. Demonstrated ability to work with government and corporates instead of industry. You already use industries back here. Applied international best practice methodology. So we want to make this sound current. So apply international best practice methodology to improve management decision making, initiate and bed down complex systems, and enhance operational efficiency. So the middle one seems like the least important part. So we're going to put this in here, and improve decision making and enhance operational efficiencies. And we can get that down to 3 lines there. So that's a good start. We'll come back to it at the end after we've reviewed everything else. Now we're going to want each one of the sections to reflect what we did in the first part. So we're going to go through it like this with detailed career history. We can take off the line on that one since that popped up. And if we go down to some of the key experiences as we go down further, we also have leadership roles and activities. So let's go ahead and format paint that guy. Now, in general, he's got a lot of stuff here. We don't need leadership roles and activities. We can just call it leadership. And then this last section, we're going to make into kind of an other section. He's got technology and training snapshot. Again, probably not necessary to have everything there. So we're going to pull in some of this experience like that. And then professional membership. We can also just, since we've gone through, we can just page break this last page so that it's really clear where the end of our section is. And we can call this personal or other professional. And we've got some specific information, selected training, current studies, and then we could add professional membership in there. We'll just go up one more line. There we go. Oh, this is getting a little funky in the formatting, so we'll just format paint what we've got down below. There we go. Professional membership, and we're going to come back to this. So we've got the Institute of Management Consultants, IMC, Australia here. And then in addition, we're going to want to make sure that we highlight what we always would include, which would just be interests. And we're using different types of bullets than we probably will above, so we'll make sure that we streamline that when we come back down to the section at the end. Now in the leadership section, let's see if everything that we're happy with that in here. 2005 through 2007, director of owned company in London. That's going to be reflected in his business experience. Faculty representative, postgraduate students association, and parish pastoral counselor and finance committee member in Perth. Now both of these were while he was in his university experience. So we're going to go back up to the top and put those under there, since those were leadership experiences that were more related to his actual university experience. So several strata schemes, so I'll call them strata owners corporations, and instead of here including, and we'll have him actually just say including X, Y, and Z. Fantastic. So we're already getting to the point here where we're really slimming down what we've got working on. Fantastic. So we're going to leave that leadership section behind, and we're going to come back up to the top. Now, we've got these kind of funky snapshots as well as the other pieces of information. So one of the key things we're going to have to do is just capture the information that's in the snapshots. We're going to take out the reason for leaving, because that's not going to be the most important thing. But all the other information in the snapshots we're going to put in one key section. So we're going to put all of this together. From the snapshot, we're just going to put it right here at the beginning. I like the information that's in that snapshot. I just don't think that the way of laying it out there is going to help us get to the point of everything that we're looking at. And it's also not going to be clear exactly how far it extends. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll just take out snapshot, and we're going to put all the information together so that when we copy it over, it's going to be a lot easier. Reason for leaving to gain international experience. Again, that's not going to be super relevant for us. So let's put that in here, and let's pop this snapshot over to the right-hand side. Fantastic. Great, and then we've got one final snapshot here. Moving to Sydney is the reason for leaving. Again, a lot of these things are things that maybe would be interesting in an interview, but not necessarily something you're going to have to offer up in this particular type of setting. So we'll delete this here, include it at the beginning here, and then we'll take out this whole snapshot section. Great, look at us. We are on our way to getting back up. So now we're squarely on page 3, and we haven't even gotten started with all of the content yet. So this is a good sign. In addition, we've got some spacing that looks like it's going to be kind of awkward. So we're gonna have a lot to work with, which will be fantastic. Now we have energy industry in Melbourne, risk consultant and manager. So it looks like now we've got energy industry, but I have a feeling that what's happening here is that we've got some actual consulting projects that are going on. And I do remember seeing back in the chart at the beginning, there was Lumo Energy, Ignition Energy Investments, and GDF Suez. So we're going to pull the 3 of those, since those seem to be the ones that he's referring to here. We're going to copy those babies back and bring those back up under this experience so that we can make sure that we refer to them appropriately. Fantastic. Baker Tilly looks pretty good. The various consulting projects, we're going to need to just rename them. So we're going to just say Adams Consulting. And we'll go through the process. In fact, we'll just even call it JA Consulting, Jacob Adams Consulting. Okay, fantastic. Then we've got Australian Prudential Regulation Authority. That looks pretty kosher. SFR Advisory Group and University of Western Australia in Perth. Okay, great. So here we've got a different style of introducing the process at the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this over so that we're using the same thing consistently. And we're going to say here we've got University of Western Australia. And it's in Melbourne, which is great. Melbourne, as the locals say it. Now we know that it was a business school, so I'm going to put business school up here just in case there was actually a specific separate name for the business school. Many schools will have a separate name, but if it wasn't there, then that's pretty critical. Then we've got PhD in information management. Congratulations, Jacob. We had no idea you were so super smart. So PhD in information management. Then we've got research. Okay, so we're going to call that the dissertation. We'll assume that he did one. And we'll put this in here, establish link between diffusion of innovation and time series forecasting using trading simulation. About what you did and if it was published. So having that section there is going to be pretty critical. It looks like I'm going to add in a bullet point. We'll see if what's looking at here. Yeah, so the bullet point format is going to be something different than what we've got going on already. We'll kind of stick with what we've already got, but maybe we'll make a couple changes to it. So since that was something that we would want to bullet out, that's fine. But since we're already dealing with these narrow margins, since Jacob's been a little creative with his style, then we're going to pull all of that together. So in addition, he's got 2 degrees here, so we're going to highlight which one he got when. So we'll assume that he got his PhD as the latest degree in 2001. This gives a firm an idea of your age, but also how quickly you progress through something, and we can italicize that. Then we've also got this Bachelor of Commerce with first class honors. So we can see here this faculty representative piece that we had from before looks like it was in 2001. So that's great. We can highlight some leadership here. And we're also, in the process of doing this, what we're doing is we're calling out and making more robust his education sections, that it looks a lot more impressive. And we don't know what date he graduated. I'm going to guess 1999 if he did an honors program for 4 total years. It could have been a 3-year program, but I'm going to guess 1999. So that shows that he went on and got his PhD in just 2 years, which is super impressive. Then we've got some honors and some leadership here. So we've got the Commonwealth Government Scholarship, which is great. And we can bold that honors line. And we might just want to say, given for what to how many. So, some more particulars about the scholarship would be helpful. Something super prestigious may not need some explanation, but for me, immediately it's not completely obvious what that is. Then we've got some leadership here, which probably again happened in the undergraduate time. Fantastic. So now, if there's any additional leadership experience or honors, as a part of the editing process, we would really want for Jacob to make sure that he highlighted some of those things. Fantastic. Now we can go on to the detailed career history. Now, instead of detailed career history, which sounds like a terrible thing to read, we're going to just put professional experience. And we're going to highlight this. And since we've got so many different types of fonts going on here, I'm going to go ahead and just center some of this language so that it's a little easier to highlight. Now, as we noticed before, this energy industry experience looks like he's tried to cover a number of different things. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll just highlight and copy over some of the key areas for the bullet points. I'm going to do that across the board for each one of the experiences so that we just make sure that we have bullet pointed everything. And in fact, some of the areas, as you can see in here, aren't bullet pointed, and I'm going to go ahead and bullet point those too, because we're really not going to leave anything unbullet pointed, even the context. Then as we go down through some of these things, we're going to be able to pull a whole bunch of stuff together by separating out the context and some of the other core experience. Forgot one line right there, so I'm just going to format paint as well. Fantastic. And here we go, Sodexo. As you can see, we're kind of just coming up with a more codified format. We're trying to work within what he's got. We don't want all of our resumes to look exactly the same, although we do provide an extensive number of templates with the Resume and Cover Letter Bible. It's really helpful to make sure that we just go through the whole process of making it very clear the whole way through. Okay, excellent. And then this one's got a whole bunch of upfront context information. Good. So we were able to sort that out. Wait, let's get that middle stuff too. Okay, great. Well, some of these are going to end up being bullets and sub-bullets as well. So fantastic. And then we've got this University of Western Australia experience, which was probably more of a leadership type experience. And at the same time, I have a feeling that's something we're going to end up taking out just because it's not going to speak specifically to his professional experience, but it's still going to be in there for now. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to want to have bullet points here at the end. And then let's just separate these out. And then we'll call this guy training. So we've got technical skills. We've got training. Here in this bottom section, we're kind of highlighting all the things that somebody may or may not be interested in. And this is really just to satisfy a potential resume screen that's done by a computer. So you make sure that everything is in there. Professional memberships. And then interests. I always read the interest section at the bottom of a resume. If somebody's interested in fun things, I think they'd be a fun person to work with. So that could be something that's kind of critical when you're going through the whole process. Fantastic. Like I said, I think we're probably going to end up pulling this experience under this leadership section. So I'm going to go ahead and put that under there, even though it's not formatted in exactly the same way. And we'll go back through and just format these key experiences in the same way. Great, so now we've kind of got something simplified in terms of the formatting, so it seems a lot more clear exactly what we're going to be doing. Now, to go back up to the top, the first entry is the most important one, so that's where we're going to overinvest our time. And here we've got the energy industry, so we've got 2009 to 2013, which is fantastic, so the timing is good. Because he was a risk consultant and manager, we also see, though, that there were some three specific projects that he had when he was in here. And underneath here, we've got the JA Consulting, which was 2005 until present. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to pull all of this experience from JA Consulting, since he was a consultant for all this time, up into the most recent experience. And we're going to pull everything together. So we're going to, instead of having everything like this, we're going to have risk consultant and manager for Lumo Energy, Ignition Energy Investments, and GDF Suez to be a part of all of the rest of these experiences that he's got in here. Now, one of the things that he's got as a part of the consulting process is something that is a little bit unclear. And what's unclear is which projects he's been doing most recently or later. So you have different things: management consultant, business intelligence consultant, risk consultant, and manager. And so there are some things that we're not going to be able to answer today without him weighing in and before the second round of edits. But there are some things that we will be able to. So, And I have a feeling that these ones are the most important ones. So we're going to make sure that we are highlighting each one of those. So he was a risk consultant for Lumo. He was a risk manager for Ignition Energy Investments in Melbourne. And he was a risk consultant for GBF. Suez. So all of these are in Melbourne. Great. So all of these are going to be something similar to what he's got going on here, but we're going to highlight these key 3 things. And it looks like, oops. If we just refer to the chart here, we've got 2012 to 2013 for Lumo. We've got 2011 to 2012 for Ignition. And we've got 2009 through 2011. So we're kind of getting the idea that here he's a longer term project manager, somebody who's not just bopping in for a couple of months, but he's actually extending it over multiple periods of time. Like I said, we've got all this information toward the end that we're going to be able to refer to if we need to. So we're going to bold that out, and that's going to enable us to be able to actually cut this chart out. So we're going to get more of a sense of exactly where we are. And because this experience is his most recent experience, we're going to pull that to the top of JA Consulting. So before we talk about anything, we're just going to need to include a few things about his practice. Okay, so explain the type of work he does. That'll be critical. The average duration of projects, types of problems he solves, and key customers. I'm just going to highlight that because that context is going to be super important. The winner of the Thomson Reuters Summer Grange Forecasting Competition. That's fantastic. When was it? Let's see here. It's for, I'm going to guess that it's probably under GDF Suez. We're going to have to make some guesses here, and hopefully we're going to get it close. So developed broad knowledge of Australian energy markets encompassing generation, trading, and retail functions. So let's see here. Applied risk management skills to develop risk metrics and policy. So some of these are things that are experience related. So we're going to just assume again that he kind of talked about all 3 of these in key areas. So we're going to highlight, we're going to assign them to different areas. Many of them were potentially in the different areas. So we're just going to select places to put them. He was using them as overall key pieces, but we're just working on the overall story here. So he's got risk consultant, apply risk management skills. So again, and some of this stuff is just very general, so that's why we're trying to keep it in here, but we're trying not to have a highlight or focus on it. This is the forecasting, so that's the great develop quantitative models, redesigned and rebuilt. Monte Carlo simulation, save 60K of expense by developing gas risk policy, built complex. Okay, so we have no idea where exactly some of these things happened. So I'm going to just have to make a call. I'm going to say that he probably developed the quantitative models as a risk consultant and also using the Monte Carlo simulation, that as the risk manager, he's going to focus on the gas risk policy internally, and then everything that's a little bit more data driven as the risk consultant he's going to focus on. Now here we just see great managed, and we don't need bespoke in there. Implemented calibrated new earnings at risk model to allow derivative valuations. Right. So here we don't even need to say calibrated, right? New earnings at risk model to allow derivative valuations using Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, great. So these are some of the places where just having a hangover is going to be frustrating. We're going to want to probably change that as we go forward because it's just 1 or 2 cute little lines, and our format is not going to be working for us there. Great, so we've got these key different types of projects, and now we've got a community college. Now, community college is not going to be the type of client that he's actually going to be looking for. So one thing that we've got in terms of options is to actually just remove it entirely. He is working for the not-for-profit Bain organization, built the suite of VBA reports, but here he's got so many other experiences, we're just going to focus on the brand name ones. So I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to move it all the way down to the removed section at the bottom. Great. Now as we go through the process, we've got Lumo Energy in Melbourne, we've got Ignition, we've got GDF Suez. So here we've got, what he was as a management consultant, that's fine. We're going to need to just streamline the way that the formatting is. So we're going to bold that, and we're going to highlight what kind of formatting he's got. And we don't know yet right now what year this was happening in. The same with Sodexo. So let's just highlight Sodexo Limited in London. This is getting exciting because we're talking about some international scope here. And we're going to go through and see if we can pare down some of these as well. Great, and we've got these some London experiences here. Okay, great. Now let's go through some of these experiences. We've got Orton Group. Great, so for $130 million retailer for luxury fashion items. Completed major business restructure. Great, we're going to just highlight at the beginning what exactly he did. Headed stock loss and valuation, identified 75% of stock variances as procedural. Integrated fresh database tool and best practice techniques for a 5-year plan. Okay, great. Included clear labeling, consistent color coding, forward flowing structure, minimal formula. Great, and so here he's talking about some very core analytical pieces that he did. These are both going to be sub-bullets for built the fresh database tool. So let's go ahead and create a sub-bullet structure here. And we're just going to use those two areas. Built tools to assess new store proposals and merchandise planning, collaborative management to grasp business vision. Okay, and so this is very soft. In this one, we're going to need a metric. So we need some kind of number literally in every line in order to make this more useful. So we've got 5-year plan. We have tailored output and structure. So X lines of, right? So we can talk about the lines of output or something about the output in order to highlight that there. Great. And up here, just to go back to this section, just to really talk through some of the formatting. Making sure that some of those numbers are missing. So build complex to enable faster, more accurate mark-to-market calculation using customer load profiles. So here, there's probably some kind of cost savings or result. The winner is fine. Maybe out of the number of teams would be really helpful, but basically we're just going through and adding some numbers. See here, can we kind of combine all this? Probably. Great, here we go. just kind of trying to streamline some of these sections here so you guys can watch what I'm doing. Great. And then for Sodexo, great. We've got, so for global provider of catering and support services, so we need to highlight the size and we can keep it in Australian dollars here. Created more efficient monthly reporting. Partner with key to business. So let's see here, reducing, partnered with key business decision makers to produce solution to, and then let's see, we'll just say to reduce excessive time taken to compile monthly reports. And then it sounds like finance reports. So we can highlight that. Design multifaceted solution encompassing team restructuring, motivational revamp. Let's take that out. Doesn't seem too action oriented. And new automated report generation process. So let's see here. So let's say designed new automated report generation process within X months. Okay, and then we don't need to talk about what they demonstrate in terms of vision, but outsource lower value added roles and revitalize collegial team culture. Fantastic. Create a management reporting database from improved resource channeling and streamlined reporting functions. Automated reports, reduce administrative burden by 80%. Excellent. So let's pull that up front and create a management reporting database to improve resource channeling and streamline reporting. Excellent. Okay, now we're really getting somewhere. Now we've got British Sky Broadcasting. Let's see if we can get all this onto one page. I bet we can. And let's see here. So he was a management consultant for that as well. That wasn't necessary. We don't need that. We just need to keep it similar to some of the other ones. So let's see here for the UK. So let's highlight what he did here. So it seems like, you know, Jacob's just a little wordy. We're just trying to pare down the wordiness. So for UK's largest digital pay TV platform, sought efficient method, sought efficient marketing proposal evaluation method. Instead of sought, let's just say developed. Consulted with geographically disparate stakeholders, with X stakeholders. We can even just say with X stakeholders. Created management decision-making model that improves strategic planning. Model encompassed comprehensive array of supply chain constraints. So we'll just say into model, including call center capacity, system automation and transformation cut feasibility. Fantastic. Now we're really getting somewhere. Excellent. So here we've got some very specific information from JA Consulting, which we've called his overall consulting business. We've highlighted some of the key terms from beginning to end, and we've gotten most of our experience onto 2.5 pages. So we're looking really good for being able to pull everything down. Now what we'll have to do just to make sure that everything is consistent is that we'll pull the professional experience here back into the central section. We'll create a page break. And we'll make sure that we are highlighting all the key themes here. So we're just going to finish up with a couple of these things. At the end, we may actually ask Jacob to make a call to make some changes in his document because it would be really important for the document to end up at 2 pages, but we might not be able to make that call ourselves. So we're going to do our best, but it's possible that that could end up in his court at the end of the day. And we've got 2 at Centrica. Seems like he did a pretty impressive job of getting some good, solid brand name experiences with the different in the different areas where he was working, which is really fantastic. Don't know why we've got periods all over there. We do need periods here. Again, not a right or a wrong way to do it, just for consistency across his document. And there we go. Now let's see here if we can just streamline a little bit of what we've got in terms of wording here. Now we're kind of in the home stretch. We're not in the most important part, the part right at the very beginning. We're in the part that really is highlighting some of the key differences up at the start. There we go. Okay, so for world leading paperback publisher, developed recommendation to merge with subsidiary to address poorly performing division. Scenarios. Great, we're going to take that out. Analyze management concerns, identified operational and financial overhead issues. So that's really my key concern here, including X and Y. We want, if somebody's going to read this, they're only going to read a little bit of it. So for UK's largest domestic gas and electricity provider, provided analytical support to finance team, developed templates and procedures, explore existing sales, explored existing sales. Let's see here. Attrition. Performance is kind of a general thing. And then restructure. Great. After key restructure, key recommendations were implemented. Fantastic. And then for this final one, so for UK division of Australia mobile phone retailer, we're going to talk about what he did overall. So developed call center model to assess sales performance using internal best practice. And after maximizing value, divested to Carphone Warehouse. Okay, fantastic. Now we're done with JE Consulting, and we're able to highlight what the key times are overall. So all that we need really for some of these are just the key projects, but we've got some great stuff going on here. The final thing I'll just highlight here is we've got, professional experience continued, since we're kind of continuing it onto the 2 pages. All right, now we've got Baker Tilly. Now, Baker Tilly, like we saw before, we've got these kind of key numbers that are going through each of the experiences. So we're just going to say 2007 to 2008. Some of these are far enough back that it's not going to matter too much. And we're going to just make sure that our dash is the same and that we are italicized here. Fantastic. So we've got the information from before, which we had there. We're going to see what we can comport this to. So reporting to the partner, probably not as critical. We're going to say for, there we go, for $200 million leader, in accounting and business services. And then the key experience. Managed key client relationships, delivered training, built and reviewed financial. And built / reviewed financial models. Let's see here, project-based in nature. Great, so let's take that out. That was just about his own learning and exposure. Analyzed and valued potential M&A deals. That's going to be important. So we're going to put that up in the upfront context. So group profile is key, relationship management and business strategy expert. So we don't need to know again about as much about him, but generated fee incomes 50% greater than average. Assess viability of client acquisitions. Great, so let's talk about that. Analyze business operations, partner with key stakeholders, presented internal training workshops, and provided expert witness testimony. Great. So partnering with key stakeholders is kind of by itself pretty generic, so we're just going to take that out there. Built, reviewed, and advised. And we're going to combine that with the generated fee incomes. Managed client relationships and developed repeat business. Great, we're going to pull that together too. Provided expert witness support for high-profile litigation case involving financial modeling dispute valued at $900 million. Yikes, that's a big deal. Modeled and assessed potential acquisition set to deliver ROI of $13 million over 5 years from initial $10 million investment. All right, let's see here. Don't need to assess viability of client acquisitions, analyze business operations. This one seems like it's a lot less important, so we're going to pull that out. And here we can pull this $900 million financial modeling dispute. That's a pretty significant financial modeling dispute. Modeled and assessed. So we can just say, we'll just say modeled here. Potential acquisition set to deliver. Great. Excellent. And there we go. We're able to pull up that information. So we've got Baker Tilly in London, and then we've got this time in Sydney, again, from 2002 through 2005. So his time at JA Consulting is going to explain this. And if when we got the information back, we decided that we wanted to break up his time in JA Consulting to go back and forth to explain these two gaps, then we would do that. But right now it's going to make the most sense to actually go through that. Great, we've got senior business analyst and project manager, so which was the one thing don't need to have again here is not as important as who they we're doing. So let's see here. So 4, and then he'd want to describe the division that he was working for. So completed end-to-end development and implementation of risk modeling solution, including modeling, research, and design. Right, he was recognized as a top employee. Fantastic. Recognized as in top 5% of all employees. 2004, 2002, 2004. Okay, and it's not specific enough what he was recognized for, so we can take that out. Boosted organizational efficiency and accuracy and standardized process to deliver to, okay, shift from rudimentary information systems and procedures. Circumvented end user resistance to change by steering realistic expectations. Okay, great. So it talks about incorporating user feedback, right? Recruited testers, manage user acceptance testing, transform ratings procedures to presented accurate and consistent data. Great. Saved 50K. Quantitative analysis. First contact point for advanced spreadsheet design. Great. Again, these are fine, but not as important as having the document all entirely on 2-page. Great. So recruited and manage, right? Recruited and manage. So here, if we wanted to replace this at the beginning, we could do that because we've got some redundant information here. we go. And decrease rating time by 70% through development. So we'll just say here, developed automated rating model for superannuation funds. Great. And so we're going to just put the one that has the big result in it right there at the end. And then up here we had this one that had these kind of, sub bullets, which we haven't used a lot of. Might go back and want to do that right here at the very end where we're almost getting to. But here I think we've got 3 key pieces here that we could sub bullet. Fantastic. Now we've got the SFR advisory group in Perth. And this is going to be one of our last key sections. So we're going to see if we actually even really need a lot of information about it. All right, there we go. Let's make sure that we've highlighted all the information here. And now, since he was a business analyst here, I am going to say, yeah, look at this. All of this was in 2002, which is also covered by his time at Australian Prudential. It's smaller and it's not numerical. So I'm going to go ahead and just make the call to pull that right to the very end. If he wants to put it back in, he's going to have to add a lot more metrics and numbers. And look at what we've done. We've created some key opportunities to get us close to the process. At the very end. So here we've got some key leadership experiences, which we're going to highlight. 2013 until present. Great. And we're going to highlight this one a little bit differently. And then the education director of the Toastmasters. Fantastic. So in this, we're just going to try to keep the same type of experience. And it looks like we have maybe an inconsistent way of doing the names. We've got Sydney here. I think having the names actually in small does separate them a little bit better from the name of the company. So, and we don't really need to know for any of the leadership experiences when exactly they were happening. We just need to know the general time range. So associate lecturer and research assistant, completed dissertation to the deadline with an allocated budget. Okay, so, all of that's fine, but designed new strategic teaching allocation model. Secured grant for what X part, right? What was the seminar series on? Seminar series and attracted 30K, published and presented 10 papers. And so here we just probably want him to describe more of this. Some of this could actually even go up inside his other experience. Then we've got the St. Patrick and the Holy Angels. Great, and he did that. He was the parish pastoral council member. Then he was the we're going to put this one as just kind of an entrepreneurial piece. It looks like he was basically a member of a whole bunch of different boards, so that one's going to fit best under this section here at the end. I'm going to call it entrepreneurial. There we go. There we go, 2004 to present. Great, and we are almost done here. Member of Exstrata. There we go. And like we said here, this one we're just going to bold, and then we've got Toastmasters is the final one. And look at us in Sydney. We are almost exactly at one page, which is very exciting. Pretty sure we had periods all the way through. So we'll go through and do one last final check. So 2004, 2013 through present, up to 2001. Fantastic. Look at that. It's almost 2 full pages, which is really impressive. Whoops, we've got Jacob Adams. Page 2, we don't need to put confidential. You know, he's sharing it with people, so having it be confidential doesn't make any sense. Then let's go back up through. So we've got good, strong bullet points all the way to the left-hand side. We've got good experience up here. We have all of the key experiences. Some of them are italicized, but I think most of them are not. So we're going to go back through and just make sure that all of our dates are not italicized. Great. All of our names are in bold. Yep, each of the areas have a period after them. We've just separated out each one of these key project experiences to be bolded. It would be important for him to go through and make sure that each of the key areas here are there. And then when we look at the summary at the final end point, international manager with blue chip companies, develop transferable skills in line and project management, definitely. And I think we've captured everything. So congratulations, Jacob. Your resume is now a full 2 pages. It's been streamlined so that it's a lot more clear that you've worked for some strong firms, both in Australia as an employee as well as a consultant, and you have a track record of real success. So there's still a little bit of room to grow here, but we've made some huge changes, and we look forward to getting the resume back after the second round. If you look down all the way to the end here, we have this removed section. We've removed quite a substantial bit of information, and I'll just clean that up really quickly for him before we send it back. But overall, we've got a really impressive story here, and it's really come together. Fantastic. All right, there we go. Congratulations, Jacob. Thanks again.